welcome to my channel, Alice Yummy Food. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are new, welcome, добро пожаловать, and привет and labdien. So I'm speaking 3 languages over here, so if you're new to my channel, I speak Russian, Latvian and English. And I love to share my traditional Latvian food, Russian food and all Eastern and Baltic state food with you on my channel. But today I'm gonna show you a really special cake that I absolutely love, and I created it specifically for my birthday and I'm taking it over tomorrow to my friends. It's a Russian cheesecake cake with strawberry jelly on top, and I decided to make it gluten-free because I'm trying the gluten-free thing right now, you know, so why not? So it's gonna have this delicious gluten-free lemon sponge, which is so moist and so delicious. And then we're gonna top it up with this creamy cottage cheese filling, and oh my god, guys, you're gonna love it. Don't be afraid it's cottage cheese. In Latvian we call it biespienas, in Russian we call it tvarog. So it's gonna be so good. And then we're gonna top it up with fresh berries, strawberries and raspberries, and strawberry jelly. This idea came to me on my recent trip to Latvia when I went home, and I just wanted to create this recipe because it's amazing and I know you're gonna love it. It's so easy to make, so anyone who's not a cake pro will know how to do this. Super quick and super delicious. But yeah, anyway, let's get started. Enough talking about this, I can't wait. In a bowl, add room temperature eggs together with sugar and a pinch of salt. We're going to whisk the mixture for about 5 minutes or more until the eggs become light and fluffy in color, and you will see that this process will take some time. I do recommend using an electric whisker because you're going to do this very long time if you're going to whisk this by hand. You then want to add your grated lemon or lime zest and 1 tablespoon of lemon or lime juice. It's completely up to you. Because I'm making this a lemon sponge, I'm using the lemon, but whatever you have in your kitchen will do. Mix everything well, and then lastly add your sifted gluten-free flour and gently fold everything in. I like to do this in stages, so add half first, mix it through, and then add the other half of your flour. You don't want to overmix the mixture, as we want to keep as many air bubbles as possible. This is the whole secret to the recipe. It's going to be very, very nice and fluffy sponge. That's why you shouldn't mix it for too long. You're going to bake the gluten-free lemon sponge in a preheated oven for about 20 minutes at 170 degrees Celsius or 330 Fahrenheit. Once it's cooked, it's gonna look like this. It smells amazing. It's very, very delicious. You want to cool it down on a cooling rack and then gently take it out using a knife from the ring, and just leave it to cool down for a little bit longer. But the sponge becomes super, super delicious, very, very moist, very spongy and super airy and just perfect. First thing you want to do is soak your gelatin powder in cold water, mix everything together and set aside to bloom. It's important to do this process before, as we're using a lot of gelatin, so we do want it to set before we start making our mixture. In a large bowl, add cottage cheese. You can use full fat or low fat, it's completely up to you. But make sure you use the dry cottage cheese, tvarog, for this recipe. If you don't have it, you can also use ricotta cheese, farmer's cheese or quark. Add sour cream, vanilla extract and sugar. And then you want to mix everything together really, really well. You do need to use a hand blender to blitz the mixture together until it is nice and smooth and very, very even. If you don't have a hand blender, you might need to use a sieve to sieve your cottage cheese first to make it nice and smooth and creamy, and then mix all the ingredients together. But I do like using a hand blender as it makes your job much easier. Then once your gelatin has set, you want to melt your gelatin in the microwave in 10-second breaks. And once it's melted, just cool down a little bit and then add into your cottage cheese mixture. You want to add your melted gelatin very slowly and mix very fast while you're adding the gelatin, so we don't get any bits of the gelatin that sets straight away from the cold mixture. This is why I also suggest that you use room temperature ingredients for the cottage cheese and sour cream. Now, to assemble your cake, make sure you place your adjustable ring onto a board and then add your gluten-free lemon sponge cake. You might want to use an acetone tape around it. You don't have to, but it will make your cake look a bit prettier and more neat. Then you want to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of strawberry or raspberry jam on top of your gluten-free lemon sponge and smooth it out. You can add more jam if you wanted to. This cake is not very sweet, especially the filling. So if you like it sweeter, you can always either add more sugar into your cheesecake mixture or add more jam. Lastly, you want to add your mixed cottage cheese mixture. Shake it a little bit, make sure there are no bubbles, even it out, and you want to place the cake into your fridge or your freezer if you are in a hurry to make this cake. But just look out for it until it's done. Once it's kind of set, it's good to add the next layer. Now, to make the jelly layer, you want to add your jelly into a cup and then add hot and cold water mixture together. I always add the hot mixture first, mix it through until all the gelatin, sugar and granules mix through. So you want to make sure that your gelatin is smooth and there are no bits. So just keep mixing it with your spoon until it's nice and smooth. Then I like to add the cold water so that it cools down a bit faster. But always, follow your directions on your gelatin that you use and, follow how much water needs to be put. But roughly, I'm using 1 packet for this recipe. Once your gelatin is fully dissolved, you want to set it aside to cool down a little bit. Next, what you want to do, you want to take your berries. I'm using strawberries and raspberries. You want to wash and dry them. And I'm cutting strawberries into smaller pieces. And I'm also going to use large raspberries on top to decorate. What you want to do, you want to add your berries on top of the cake. You can decorate in any way you like. I'm doing this beautiful pattern around with strawberries and then raspberries. You can, of course, also use any other fruit that you like. It's completely up to you. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to take our melted jelly, and using a spoon, you want to pour a little bit of your jelly on top of your berries. And the reason we do this is to secure the berries in the first place. If you add all the jelly straight away, the berries will float on top and then you will not have this beautiful pattern on the cake. So once you have a really thin layer of jelly, pretty much covering the, all the fruit and the base, you want to place the cake back in the fridge or the freezer for it to set quicker. But if you're placing this into the freezer, just look out for it, make sure it doesn't freeze, as it will create a condensate, which is frozen water on top and might ruin your cake. Once it's set, you want to add the rest of your jelly mixture all over your cake and then place it back in a fridge to set fully. Once your cake is completely set and done, you can take out your acetone tape and the ring off very, very gently. and you can see how smooth and beautiful that is. So the cake is ready. If you've kept it in the fridge, it's ready to eat. I like to leave it in a room temperature for just a little bit, and I just want to show you how beautiful it looks inside. We have this creamy cottage cheese filling. It tastes like a cheesecake, but in a different way. In a way, it's actually a very healthy cake. And if you're using low-fat cottage cheese, it could be pretty much a diet cake. And then you have this creamy sort of cheesecake in the middle, this lemony soft sponge with strawberry jam. And then you get the crunchiness and texture from the jelly on top with the berries. Absolutely amazing cake. It has all the delicate flavors, all the delicious textures together. It's just one of my favorite cakes ever.